Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Wanted to try something a little different today and plant some succulents in some unconventional containers. This video was inspired by my mom and dad who had a mug from one of their trips out west to Zion National Park. My mom went to go fill it up with coffee one day and walked away, came back and noticed that there was a big puddle of coffee on the countertop and there was a hairline crack in it, so it wouldn't work anymore for her coffee. And she thought, well, maybe Kathy could plant it up with some succulents and it would serve a second purpose. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you some different containers rather than your typical pots that you might find at a garden center or order online. Go shop your stash. You got to have some random things laying around the house, some mismatched things that might work for good succulent containers. And they don't have to be big. That's the best part. You can go grab some small succulents, some things in 2 and 3 inch pots that will work perfect, along with cuttings. That's the best part. You can go raid your plant stash and make some cuttings, and that's even better to fill in some of these containers. So let me show you the first one. So this is the mug that my mom and dad had that they gave me to plant up. So as you can see, it's a pretty tall mug, and this works out really nice because it gives it enough drainage here. And I do not put rocks in the bottom. As we found out, all that does is raise the water level. So it doesn't do succulent roots any good to have rocks in the bottom for drainage. Just let the soil go all the way to the bottom. In this one, I planted a little burro's tail, a haworthia that's in the back that actually has a little bloom stalk on it, some Echeveria cubic frost, and a little sedum over here on the side. And the sedum and the burro's tail both are just cuttings. So that works perfect for this. I don't need to have rooted plants for something this small. It would be way too crowded. I mean, it's going to be crowded enough. And don't worry, succulents like to be crowded. It's not a problem. In fact, when I even transplanted the haworthia, I kind of cut the roots back a little bit because they were a little long, all coiled up in the pot. But I just took cuttings of the sedum and the little burro's tail and stuck those in as fillers. And as long as I'm not watering this for a week, they'll be fine. It'll give them plenty of time to harden off. I didn't have to sit them on the, counter somewhere, letting the cut end dry off. They'll be perfectly fine in here as long as I don't water them for a week. So here's one, a little soup mug, chili mug. Thought this was cute. I think I found it at Goodwill or Salvation Army, but I used some nice complementary colors in this one. I thought the purple preserved moss was kind of a nice contrast to this bright orange. Here's another one. Nice, pretty chartreuse green with the purple preserved moss and this pretty Echeveria shaviana and its pinkish purple edges on the leaves. This aeonium in the background has a deep red stripe in it that was a nice complement to this pretty pot or pretty mug. And also this one has a drainage hole in it too that I drilled. And here's one you might have seen in the background, this cute little one-off mug I found at a thrift shop, I think. It's perfect for starter plants, things that are cuttings, or like I did leaf cutting with this one in the back here. This is a Graptopetalum ghost plant. So anything small, I thought that'd be perfect for this one. Once again, I did drill a hole in this one, and it's a nice, cute little container. So with all the containers that I get that are unusual things like this, mugs, cups, whatever, pitchers, they wouldn't necessarily come with a drainage hole in them. And with succulents, you really want to have a drainage hole because unless you're very, very careful, which I do have pots that don't have drainage holes, but I'm really careful that I don't water them very frequently at all. But it's kind of a pain. Like you can't really set them outside in the summertime because you're always worried that if they get rained on, they're going to flood and rot the roots. So let's go outside real quick and I'll show you how I drill drainage holes in pots. And it's a lot easier than you would think. All right, so here I am on the deck. I've got my supplies all ready. This is the container I'm going to drill a hole in. I use a ceramic tile bit, and that works on just about any kind of ceramic or porcelain container. Now you're going to want to make sure you run some water over this to keep it cooled down so it doesn't overheat and accidentally crack the container. I kind of move the drill bit around a little bit to get it going and make the hole a little larger, and like that it's really fast and easy. It only took less than 22 seconds and it's a nice clean hole, no cracks or anything. So I took it downstairs to my potting station where I'm going to plant this up. Now I use my own custom soil blend for my cactus and succulents. This is Pro Mix, pumice, and perlite. We're going to speed this up a little bit so it doesn't take quite so long. The first thing I do was add this plectranthus or Cuban oregano. This will grow pretty tall, so we want to put this to the back. In fact, it's a really easy plant to propagate by just taking cuttings. So then I stick in a nice little aloe vera cutting, or actually it's a little offshoot. Then we're going to put in a Haworthia plant, and this will stay nice and compact, a nice little clumping Haworthia in the front there. And then I'll add this Fred Ives that's got a little bit of air roots on it, and it's just a cutting. It'll root in perfectly fine, no need for a full-blown plant there. I'm going to top this off with some gravel top dressing, and then I'm going to clean it up with my wooden skewer. That's perfect for taking gravel off the leaves. And then finally I'm going to add this little sedum burrows tail, and that's another cutting that just finishes off, fills in a little empty spot there. And then we've got it all done. Voila! Nice and easy, didn't take really big plants, and it was easy to put together. So you might be asking, what do I do if I have a container I don't want to drill a hole in? Say it's an antique, something that was handed down, you don't want to damage it, or you're afraid that it's too fragile. If you do drill a hole, it might crack it all to you know what. So you can do that. And the easiest way to do it is just to use cuttings in that container. And this is one example. This is a little teacup that I have that I would not want to drill a hole in because it's just too cute, and then it would totally lose its value as a teacup. But it's the perfect thing for cuttings. So what I did is I just took some sphagnum moss. I didn't wet it or anything. I just kind of shredded it apart, put it down the bottom, almost like some stabilization, so that when I put the cuttings in there, they've got something to stick down into. I just went around, shopped my plant stash of things that I thought looked cute. I have a little Mexican oregano. This is a plectranthus, little string of pearls, some Echeveria Debbie, little fuzzy Echeveria. There's even a almost blooming burrows tail in the background there. So wait 2 to 4 weeks, check them to see if they have roots. If they've got the roots that are long enough to start planting them, move them on up to a traditional pot, and or use them as filler in other pots. That's always easy. Say you've got something already planted, you can stick it in and around. I do that a lot with little things like this, where I need something just to fill a little empty hole. These things are kind of perfect for that. You can always stick them in and around other things. But in the meantime, it's a really cute idea for a little decoration. And these kind of things are great for gifts too. You found something at an antique shop, a thrift shop, and it looks like you spent a lot of money. You just used some creativity. Here are some things that I've done over the past few years that kind of sparked my creativity. I always like to do combo pots, is what I call it, or combination pots. So that way I can get a nice variety of plants. I don't have to have just one individual plant sitting there. Now, this is not a long-term solution. You're not going to leave these in here for years and years. In fact, I've had lots of people ask me, well, when's it going to need to be transplanted? Well, I would say you'd probably get a good year out of something like this, because at some point, you know, unless you've got these under grow lights, you're not going to have each plant stay nice and compact and perfect looking for more than a year, I would think. Or just depending on the size of the container, it would start overgrowing the container too. It's kind of one of those cycles that just goes round and round and round. You can keep going with this. You can take them all apart, take the plants apart, find other containers, do whatever you want with it, but it's kind of the gift that keeps on giving, and usually you find something really unique and creative you can do with them. Well, I really had fun doing this video because I like planting these kinds of containers. Each one's different. It isn't the same thing every time. And it's something that kind of stretches my creativity a little bit. Hope you liked it. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave those in the section below. Well, happy Mother's Day to my mom and all moms out there. Until the next video, stay healthy.